Good mornings to yous again. So, um, I felt compelled to make another video, kind of staying on topic from the last couple of videos I've made, but also I saw um, something last night. My husband likes to watch debates between Christians and atheists, and I don't like to watch them because they trigger me. And I got like majorly triggered yesterday. Or, I didn't think that I was going to get like, I don't know, I just got triggered and I had to repent. But like, there's this guy that got up and was asking questions about, the morality of God. And it was just like, okay, so, it always goes back to the mass murder and the genocide and this and that. And again, it's the same thing where people can't really get over the idea of God being the only person that is allowed to do whatever he wants to do. For some reason, people think that God, even as a concept, like forget about the fact that he, like, if we're talking about a supreme being, he's responsible for everything down to an atomic level and probably below that. That's just what we know about. And you have beef with him, um, eliminating people on Earth, which to him just means like moving them from the Earth to someplace else. Like it doesn't even mean what it means for you. Like, so just forget about that. Like, but yeah, my brain just completely went blank when I said that. But anyways, so he was having some problems with that, and he just didn't think that was right. And it's the same. There's a certain type of person that has this type of beef, where they sort of treat God like the weird. It's like if you were like an orphan and they took you to some person's house and they just had like a huge mansion and everyone's running around and you're just like, well, wait a minute, why is this guy so rich? How did he get his money? And oh, he's an arms dealer. Oh, it's just like, bro, you're an orphan. Like why are you you can't take care of yourself, you'll die in the street. Like why do you feel like you're in a place to like pick apart somebody's morality? Like it just doesn't, like, it makes sense when you're sitting in your chair and you're just thinking in your brain and you're just like, but it's like, bring this out to a real place and see if your things make sense there. And it seems kind of harsh and like, or it seems like, well, there's nothing that overrides, moral. And it's so crazy. It's so crazy. And I'm going to tell you why in a second. So on one of these videos was a comment, and I've been thinking a lot about this comment because the guy basically was bringing up the same points as this other dude, about, God's decisions. And his thing was basically, he said, if a man rapes a woman and later he asks for forgiveness from God and he'll go to heaven. But if that woman is destroyed from that rape and she can't forgive for what happened to her, she goes to hell. And that is a monstrous, barbaric system, is basically what he was saying. And I've been thinking a lot about that comment. And for a while I was like, that's a really, I understand that dilemma. And, on its face, yeah, I do understand. Yeah, you're really pulling out the big guns there with that one. But I guarantee you, like, there's no other. You're not giving any other belief systems the same type of scrutiny, because otherwise you would be uh, unearthing a lot of weird stuff. But I think all in all, people would rather it be based on your behavior, because that is a cleaner to them in their mind. That's a cleaner thing to base everything on. Well, if you're a good person, this is what you accumulate. If you're a bad person, this is what you accumulate, and then you balance out the balance sheet. But um, even that system is based on your delusions about you being a good person. And so um, the real system that God set up, God is saying, listen, you're in a delusional state if you think that you can get anywhere good based on your works. It's not possible. I'm telling you, I am the God of the good stuff. You don't have it. So I made a way for you to make it, because you cannot do it. So the works based system is based on um, it fundamentally requires you to not understand um, the amount of goodness. Like, you just don't understand where God lives. You don't understand the place where God lives. You don't understand how many more billion times more it is than this place. And you wouldn't know. You'd have to have somebody outside of this place to tell you about it. So God is really just kind of narrowing it down to like the need to know information. But basically, like, yeah, you're not, there's no, you can't qualify. Like, you're not nothing. You're like, I think most of us would be really surprised to find how little our goodness, it's like, it's not even a competition, because the thing is, like, the things that you do good, yeah, they ripple out, but you don't think about with the bad stuff, how the bad stuff ripples out, and how much more bad that causes. And it would probably just like make you ill, and you would be like, I don't believe that like you would just, your brain would explode. So, but yeah, I was reading that comment and I was thinking about it a lot, and I was really just thinking mostly like that there's just people that are bound and determined to not like God. They just don't like him. It's insane to me, because when it comes down to it, it's like, even the choice, and I was talking about this a little bit in the last video, of like either join God in heaven or go to hell. And people are just like, well, that's the option. And they think that that's a dictatory option, but it really is like the lowest rung of choice making, because God is the obvious choice. He made you to like him, he made you to love him, he made you to like, you're in tune with he made you to be in tune with everything else in the universe. And because of sin, we're not able to function properly, but he still wants to salvage us. So he's letting us choose to be with him. And that's literally the only thing there is to do. It's like, what is your what is your perception of perfection exactly? Because I guarantee you, the thing that you came up with that's perfection ultimately is taking away a person's free will and is basically robot land. And I also bet you that if you were to actually do that, well, we're sinful, so we might actually like robot land, but I don't know. Some of us would, and some of us would be like, I can't. It doesn't matter. Like, I know that this isn't coming from a genuine place. You're doing this because I programmed you to do it. Like, you can't get any joy from that. You can't get any so much of what we take for granted about people is just the simple spontaneity of having a literal different, people making choices that they want to make. Like, so yeah, all he's saying is like, yeah, if you want to like come to heaven, I'm not going to make you, I want you to choose to go to heaven. But if you're going to choose something, there's something you got to do first. I need you to lift your leg up, and then I need you to lift it back down. I mean, that's basically what it is. And then people are going, well, but why does God put stipulations on it at all? Like, you're just really just trying to find something about it. Like, isn't love like just unconditional? Why do I have to have the condition of lifting my leg up and down? It's like, so you're not going to do that? Like, how rebellious do you have to be to like refuse heaven because God is asking you to like accept something that he already did? And then the fact that the person that, oh, well, is he going to be there too? Like, he's a terrible person. Like, then that's just unforgiveness. And no, yeah, you can't make it in with that. Whoa. It's just like, I cannot believe you found a way to make this bad. That's amazing. Because there's nothing more supreme. Like there's no debate. There's not debatable. This is the supreme thing. There's nothing better. There isn't. It's objectively the case that there's nothing better. Just because you might like something, you might prefer something else, just makes you prefer it. This is not subjective. It's just not. God is perfection. And when we get there, it's going to be next level, because now there's going to be some perfect perfection there that he died to preserve, that we weren't born in the light of heaven. We know we have a different dimension of understanding that no other creations have. But like, you're so caught up in well, does this rapist get to go? Like, you're missing it, because it's like, okay, so what would you prefer happen? Do you think that the rapist should die, should be like, he should go to hell and the girl should go in because she had a hard life? Like, God has already figured out, like, I don't know if you saw, like, my screen got darker. It's like the sun went behind a cloud. Anyways, God has already reduced down to the lowest common the lowest common thing that he's going to use to like filter us all out. And it's love. It's love and faith. It's the people that love him. It's the people that believe in him. Like, it's not going to be the people who never did bad stuff. It's not going to be the people that, never hurt anybody. That's not a good. The best way to filter out who should go is the people that want to go. And that's what it is. The people that want to go. There's a lot of people that don't want to go, and they're like, well, can't you just bring that stuff out here for us? Like, what kind of, like, don't you have enough stuff? You can't like give us some of that stuff? Like, they don't. It's amazing. Like, I can't with these people. I just can't. Like, I really was just kind of grieved all day yesterday and today, after I watched that, because I was just like, dude, there's just some people out there that are just not going to get to, like, and I know, it's like, dude, I know that you can't survive. You can't even survive outside of your, you live at your mom's house. Like, you cannot go to hell, dude. Like, give up your stupid pride based in here. And what's really upsetting is that, one of the first things I thought about, when I heard this, when he was just declaring that that was a barbaric system, it was just like, you know what? We watch too many movies. And that's all this comes down to, because the movies, unfortunately, have conditioned us a little too much. Because in the movies, you can't let the bad guy has got to get what's coming to him. He can't have you might be able to do a redemption arc with him, but it takes a long time. You got to go back in time. You got to show what terrible things that happened to him so that you can feel bad for him. And then, all this stuff, but you can't. So the guy who came up with that comment that at first I thought was a real conundrum, a real humdinger, and I realized like he just made that up. He just made that up and made those conditions. But how often is that really happening in the real world? And then also, he's just making up hypothetical people that don't have any like no history, no nothing, no nuances, no. It's like you can't. That's yes, technically yes. If a rapist decides to accept Christ, he'll go to heaven. If the victim decides that she can't forgive, then yes, she goes to hell. But it's just like you just made that up out of paper dolls. Like the way that God designed it, it is a self-refining process. Like it, you don't really need to be worried about the outcome. Like so, if you could like you just stay out of it. Worry about your own salvation, because it's real technical. But like when we go to movies, yeah, no, we can't. You can't have the likable person die. You can't kill off the likable person, and you can't have the unlikable person get no good stuff. No, your movie will do bad. You'll never work in the town again, and the movie will bomb. So, but the only reason why it's like that in movies is not because that is reflective of how the real world should be. They're trying to make a product that they can sell, and they know, like, I've had to write stuff before that I'm like, okay, how can I make this? Because I don't, the pandering is too much to me. I can't do it. But on some level, people are not going to read that mess. They're going to put the book down. They're going to be mad. So you can't, there's certain things that you're just not able to do. Well, God isn't like that because this ain't no book. This is real life. And, on top of the whole, the movie situation and us just being raised by movies, let's not forget, we are at this point demoralized. And I'm going to put a video in this description box of a not CIA, what's the Russian version of CIA? KGB operative talking about the demoralization of America. This was back in the 80s. And it was pretty much complete back in the 80s. So to be demoralized is not just like debauchery. It's like the inability to make distinctions between good, what's right and wrong, and having your morals turned all the way around. So in 2023 or 5 years ago, whenever that video was, we're not in a position anymore to really make moral decisions. Like we are completely demoralized. We cannot accept. We cannot recognize. With the Spirit of God, the Christians just barely hanging in there. And they do that so that, I'm sure that the intelligence agency have their own motivations for doing that. But overall, they work for the God of this world. And the God of this world wants you demoralized so that when he comes and does whatever he wants to do, he won't have any objection. I mean, these drag performers doing whatever, like I just saw a thing about them chanting like we're coming for your children, which they've done before. And we were like, yo, what's up with that? Oh my gosh, you can't take a joke, blah, 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 where they're doing it again. And we're just standing there because it's just all turned around. It's to the point where, the devil could show up and he could be just completely, I don't know, mutilating, I don't know, just something bad. And then, he's like, oh, well, I dedicated a children's hospital. And you're like, well, I don't know. That's good, I guess. And then, somebody good, you could just dig up their past and be like, he cheated on his wife and his taxes. And it's like, oh, well, he must be bad. Like, we just can't, we're just not there. We're just not there to make the decisions. And so, there's a lot of people out there that, they're like sheep without a shepherd, but then it's worse than that. They don't want a shepherd. but they're a hot mess. They're just like, they've got like 5 years worth of wool on them, and they're just like, I do what I want. Like, it's just insane. So yeah, I was just thinking about that and how sad it was. But it really all comes back to, do you love God or not? And that, I mean, that has really, really, really um, just made things easier for me in the last, just the last like 48 hours, thinking about this. And I'm like, man, this is really clearing up a lot of stuff. Even today, I was watching a video and it was again having to reassure these believers, like, there's nothing you need to do to get it. You don't believe that if you're not gonna. And I like it gets a little too much. Like, it's not that I disagree with them, but because everything is about works, or not works, but it's like works versus believing. You're missing the fundamental part, because if you love God, this is going to take care of a lot of the anxiety that you have. But if you don't feel any type of way about God, but you're still worried, like, oh, am I going to get left behind? Am I going to, what am I, because you don't want to go through anything bad. It's not so much that you love God and you don't want to be separated from Him. It's that, oh, I don't want to be here for something bad. If there's a way out, how do I get to go? Like, there needs to be an examination. Like, yes, Jesus covered all of your sins and there's no more that you need to do except believe. But if you think you're going to get into heaven and you don't even love God, like, I'm confused. Like, and this is what is causing the confusion, because, especially for me, because I don't understand why people who don't love God. So I never even, it's hard for me to even go there. I just see people who are like confused and they're just like, fearful. And I'm just like, well, I understand the rush to reassure people, but even believers need to understand, like, God did all this for the people that love Him. Like, those are the righteous. The righteous are people who love Him. Because how can who is righteous if everyone's a sinner? Like, what is He even talking about? Oh, it's because they believe. Yes, they believe, but they also love, because God is everything that is good and right. So they love God ultimately. And so that's why we go out and we preach to the lost. And that's why we don't, and we preach the gospel. It's not because, like, literally anyone could be saved if they just accept the gift. It's because, like, technically that is true, but it's because there's people out there that love Him, and they need to know what to do. Or there's people out there that could love Him if they knew all the information. But there's also a lot of people who just are not going to, and are not interested. And those people are the ones that, are giving you the runaround, because I don't really want to get all into that. I just wanted to reiterate, like the person I was listening to that was just like trying so desperately to reassure people that they were fine as long as they believed. Like, I was just like, dude, I don't even think you're authorized to do that. Like, you can't do that. These people need to talk to God. Like you can't just say that. Like, just because you know how it works, like, they still have to. They can't just call you up and be like, "Do you think I'll be okay? Like, am I going to be okay? Am I going to get invited to the thing tomorrow?" And you're like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. Did you do this?" And it's like, did you RSVP with the people? You can't do that. Why are you scared to talk to God about it? Like, God's concerned about people having faith, and you're like, won't even go to God for a conversation. You're just finding the first flesh and blood person and just pour them, talk to them, call them at 3 a.m. It's like, no, sir. Anyways, yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought, but hold on. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, let the love of God be let's not put the cart before the horse. Um, let the love of God be the thing that drives the car. Um, because if people don't even love God or are not even interested in loving God, then you can forget all the rest of the message. Um, and that's not harsh. I mean, how can you don't love the person that created everything and created you? And a lot of people just are really mad about the fact that they are created and are given settled in with any type of responsibility that they didn't ask for. Whether they're now existing or not. It's just like, you didn't consult me. It's just really weird. I mean, I get it, and I get it enough to put myself in your place, but it's also just basically dumb, because I see what people are willing to accept on Earth. So they're just full of garbage. They just don't want to be ruled. It doesn't matter if it's just the supreme benevolent, genius God that made everything and can make everything, and there's all types of riches and glory and that haven't been mentioned. But I mean, do you really want to go into all of the gifts and prizes and crowns and rewards to somebody who's not, are they going to be interested even after that? And if they are, are you still interested? I don't know. So that seems like it's really long, and I didn't really say anything. But I'm gonna put that Yuri Bezmenov video in the description box. I mean, it survived this long on YouTube. I'm sure. I mean, hopefully, it's still on there, because you need to know, actively what's being done to us, and before you make these sweeping, um, accusations of God, because we are so far from what real life really is. And you read the Bible and you read about people who lived in a real life where, there was no government, there was no, there was no sign saying you're now in this territory or that territory. And you had to do things to survive. You got to find the water or you're going to die. You got to live next to the water, but there's already people there and they're ruthless and they don't care. And there's no police to call if you die. This right here is a bubble play place thing. And so people are really detached from their own moral judgment, because I think once people got into a real world situation, they would reach conclusions conclusions that couldn't really be disputed, and then they would realize that those are already in the Bible. People already came to those conclusions and wrote it down for our prosperity, because they were nobody should forget these things at all. And then time goes by, and then that just becomes not valued anymore, or people just go, maybe not, and then they have to relearn that same lesson. So anyways, I'm all over the place, so I'm going to just stop here before it gets too late. Thanks, bye.